Welcome to the Fearless Happiness Podcast, where we showcase phenomenal individuals who have overcome serious traumas, life obstacles, and challenges to find their own path to fearless happiness. Listen as Max Njist invites guests from all around the world to share their experiences and spread strength, hope, and faith. This is the Fearless Happiness Podcast, and this is Max Njist.
All right, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this world. This is Max from the Fearless Happiness Podcast, coming to you today with another special and amazing guest. And I know you say that all the time, Max, but it's been true. I just speak the truth. So today we have Maryn with us. But what I like to do, Maryn, is have you introduce yourself to my audience, like who you are, what it is you do, and then you and I are going to rock and roll.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Maryn, and I am a vocal transformation coach and the creator of Vocal Transformation Method. What I do is help people liberate themselves through the power of their own voice.
Right. You said something that we all need to have better voices, I think, sometimes, right? Especially with the craziness that's going on in this world. It seems, and this could be another podcast, but the powers that be want to limit our voices so that we're not our authentic selves, right? But talk about some of those challenges that you have gone through, right? That have brought you to where you're helping people transform through their voice, through communication and stuff like that. And what got you into that?
Yeah, so my challenges of life really led me to this. This is my purpose path, and it's what I'm here to do. And it took me a really long time to find it, or for it to find me, because it definitely found me. But all of the challenges along the way are actually what got me to where this is and to understanding why. I honestly have come to realize, or come to find out, that our voice is our primary tool for healing. And when we talk about happiness and fearless happiness, any area of our life that feels repressed or held back is in the way of our ultimate happiness. And joy, liberation, whatever you want to call it. But if to really to be fearlessly happy, meaning to really embody and love every aspect of your life, your voice is really telling the story of how far that can go. And I always say the range and potential of our voice, meaning frequency, like sound of our voice, not just the words we choose, right, will really determine how much we can feel and experience as a soul in a body. So it's quite a profound shift of really understanding the human voice as a frequency tool instead of it just being as a communication tool. But that's not how I started. And these challenges that I've been through are what actually got me to the point of what I teach right now. But I started as a singer. When I was younger, they found my voice at around 5 years old, and there was something going on at home. I was experiencing some abuse at home that I was being told to keep secret. So when I actually first sang and used my voice, it was, now I know this as an adult, but it was my soul wanting to express itself because it was something that it had to keep in. And so the first time I opened my mouth, the teachers found my voice and they were like, she can sing. And then they started training me. And so my voice went from being something that I think at that time my soul knew was something that needed to open the valve and let this energy out of my body. It became a performative tool, and I got a lot of positive attention. And my family loved the fact that I had this talent, and my teachers were training me. I was singing hours and hours every week. So I was getting this therapy of the voice. But what I was really getting was a new identity around having a voice and being a singer. So for a long time, I really wanted to be a star. It's like everyone who has a voice wants to be a star. I want to be the best singer in the world. And I wasn't the only one who felt that way. It's like the people around me did the same thing. They said, you've got a talent. Let's train it. Let's go get you that career. And there was so much insecurity and so much because of what was going on in there. There was just so much self-doubt. And when anything becomes performative or becomes competitive, going to auditions and having people in your own age group you're competing with to get a role, there's so much pressure that's put on it. So as amazing as it was to have the gift and to sing, there was the real pressure of being a professional at it, or of trying to be the best at it or be really great at it. And so there was this like push pull throughout my whole life of loving this thing because it was my identity and what I am, but also really like I'm a singer and I got to do this thing.
Right.
Of course, this is all stuff then I'm just going through the motions like a kid would, like someone who's going through it. I don't realize it, but I have a couple of really big things that happened in my life. One was that at 17 years old, I got into works with this record label. At 18 years old, I got signed to this record label, and in my experience of it, it was like, here's the doorway. I'm going to go finally like get the contract and go be famous and do my thing. And it was this R&B hip hop group, this harmony group I was in, and everything about it was torturous. Everything about it was like, we weren't writing our own songs because in the industry, the money is all around the writing, and we weren't like given our creative abilities. We were just kind of like these puppets that were going to go in there and make these producers a lot of money. And so I was in this situation where I felt like I was totally like, this is the dream and this is what I'm supposed to do. And I was having real issue with it. And then some of my like old, insecurity and doubt and all that started to creep up. So I decided I didn't want to sing anymore, and I quit. I quit in the middle of this contract, in the middle of this moment.
Well, yeah. I want to say something real quick, right? Because I think something is important that the audience understand, right? Because, right, like when you're doing that, right, like what you see is like you said, everybody wants to be a star when they're in, whether it's music, acting, anything creative like that, right? And they make it look like, but it's hard, right? And then you sign. Like people don't understand, and this is what I've heard from other people like yourself, right? Like you get involved where you sign like you just signed your life over. Like they shut your creative side down because they want you to do it their way, 100%. Right? And it's like someone I knew in sports when I was growing up, right? Really good football player, even at a young age. But dad was so hard on him. And I remember one day at practice, luckily the coaches stepped in, but he was like literally almost beating on his son for not doing the plays right. And we're kids. And one of the coaches like told him, look, you can't do that. Like, and he was a big dude. Like either you're going to deal with me or you're going to stop. And found out the guy took his son, and his son never played football again, ever. Right. He was like, I'm not doing it for the right reasons. Right. It sounds like what you're getting to, right? Like you get thrust into this situation, but it's not you that's creating the magic, right? So I'm sorry to interrupt, but I want people to understand it's not like everybody thinks it is.
I think it is. And we see that when we look at some of the scandals and some of the things that we've been looking at, we can right. People are pressured into a lot to be the face of an industry, any industry, right. Anything going to be capitalized on. You get like squished into, how do I fit in? Or how do I get to the top rank of something, right? And that is always going to be full of compromise. And speaking of fearless happiness, that's when we start to sell our happiness. Every time we compromise, we're selling away pieces of our fearless creativity and happiness and life. And yeah, it's quite a journey, I think, for all of us to finally get to that truth. And some of us never do. And that's the sadness. But let's get back to where I was.
I just thought it was important for them to understand like where you are. I want them to get that picture of like, this is something you loved, but now you want to quit because it's really not you pulling the strings. It's them.
And imagine your whole family that has been for all these years, like watching you train to become that, is so excited for you. And they're all like, wow, she's making it. She's going to be a thing. This is so cool. And you are miserable.
Right. Exactly.
Right. So it was really, I think if I can say anything for myself, I've always listened pretty deeply to my instincts and to my heart. And that's been a real saving grace for me, and a real guide point that not everyone can hold very closely to what their heart is truly saying. But I think that in these peak moments of my life, these terrible moments of my life, that were these things that we've had to go through, I could always hear the whisper in there. And I just really bless the soul that Maryn is, that she actually had the courage to listen deep enough and to like follow. because I wouldn't get where I am right now. I often think I'd probably not be here anymore if I actually went all the way into the music industry the way that I was being pruned to go. I think I would have been so depressed that, of course, the drugs, the alcohol, and the whole lifestyle would have just like taken me completely, and I would have lost me somewhere in there, for the fame game, you know. So
Right.
so anyway, I decided I was just didn't want to be a singer at all. I decided if this is the industry and this is the world that I'm entering, I am not going to be a singer, but I have no idea who I am. I told you they found my voice at 5. So I have no idea who I am, and I have to find myself. So I go on this hero's journey, and I end up in Australia from New York. So I go to the furthest place you can go to the other side of the world where
I'm out.
where I could like find myself again. And while I was there, I found it very oddly, because my lifestyle wasn't like this at all, but I found this ashram where they were doing these Vedic fire rituals where they burn cow dung and ghee in a copper pot. It's called Agnihotra, and they chant mantras over this fire. And totally out of my comfort zone or my norm, but this ashram, it was in a place where there was total drought in for 35 years in that area of Australia. But this ashram was on a farm that was growing tons of food, all based on this mantra that they were chanting.
Right.
So
Wow.
this is foreshadowing. There's a seed that's planted there. I see the power of sound frequency, mantra, and intention with the voice. And that's what's ultimately going to lead me years later to what I do. But I had to have 2 major uh, accidents before this would happen. So after a few years in Australia, I end up falling off of a waterfall, of all things, and breaking my arm terribly. And then they messed up my surgery, and I ended up with my right side, my right arm completely paralyzed. So I couldn't stay in Australia. And I ended up having to get my life all the way back to New York. So I lost everything. I had a cafe that I was running there at the time. I had a lot of things going on for my life, and I lost everything and came home to my parents and lived at home again, wondering how could I have had this life that was working? And then it was just pulled out from underneath me. And in the process of 3 surgeries and nerve damage and lots of things, I ended up finding a shaman, a medicine man, who did some ceremony with me. And in that ceremony, I uncovered the power of the voice as a tool for healing. So there's the first step towards like why that arm had to break, and why I had to come all the way back, and why the trajectory of my life where it was going had to just be completely turned around on its head.
Wow.
So I started doing this work, this spiritual work, and working with different meditations and different spiritual practices, and working with the voice in this deeper way. And then I'd say this would be the big thing I had to come through in my life. I broke my neck.
Oh, wow. First it's your arm, now it's your neck. Oh my gosh.
So my body has to break, it seems, which I hope I'm done with that story, but it seemed that my body had to break for me to get still enough to really pay attention to what was going on inside, right? But I ended up falling off of a roof and breaking my C1, crushing my C1, which they call the seat of God. So it's the very top of the spine where the skull sits,
Right.
and
Right.
crushed it like a pretzel. And I came within zero point 0.2 millimeters of my life. It's kind of like how I tell the story. In the hospital, there were 4 breaks in the bone, and the largest break was 4.8 millimeters. And they told me at 5 millimeters, you're either going to be a quadriplegic, or heart's going to stop beating. So I was 0.2 millimeters from my life, and they were rushing me to another hospital to go get a surgery. And a doctor comes on duty. He comes on, clocks
Right.
in and comes to me and stops my gurney. Not even the one who did my intake who was working on me, and asks me what I do for a living. Like, what do I do professionally?
Right.
And I tell him, I'm a teacher of the voice, and I'm a singer. I was singing again at that time. Um, and he said, okay, well, if you're if we do the surgery, we're going to fuse that bone together, and then we're going to fuse that bone to your skull, and you're going to have like very limited neck mobility for the rest of your life. And if the surgery goes perfectly, your vocal cords will be great, but we can't even guarantee it with scar tissue and everything. Like, this could really affect your voice. So if I ask you, could you sit perfectly still for 3 to 6 months to see if you could heal the bone yourself? Knowing that if you can't, we're still going to bring you into the surgery and you're going to have to go through all of this again. Would you choose to try to stillness? And I said, absolutely.
Right. When you're given those options, like, hello, doc. Yeah, of course. I'm going to do my best.
There would have been like, no, just fix me. But I knew I could fix myself. So I sat in that hospital bed and I made a sound, the chanting that I had learned on that ashram, to help the bone heal. And I fully healed my C1 with no surgery.
Where were you when I had my back surgery and my shoulder surgery, right? Like, I needed you, Maryn, because that's another story. But it would have been great to know something about like this, right? Because don't we as human beings live out, like, there's a frequency we give off? Some, like you said, the ashram or like gurus have like this insane, from some people that I've interviewed, this insane amount of energy that they give off because they're at such a different vibrational level.
Yes.
And what it sounds like, everybody, if you're paying attention, she's going to tell us how this transformation through the voice can help us, right, become better people. So sorry to interrupt, but I'm looking at you and I'm going, Brooke, and you healed it. Like, you're right. Most people would have said, just operate, doc. Let's get it over with. Right. I'll put up with but yeah, I wish I would have.
Funny because my doctor, I'm going to shout him out, Dr. Oppenheim. He's my savior. He's my guardian angel. He really was very Western minded. So when I told him I wanted a copy of my x-ray so that I could visualize the healing while I would make sound to heal it, he was kind of like, oh my God, like, you're one of those. Like, he was totally, you're this woo-woo kind of character.
Right.
But of the thing, of my healing, he looked at me and was like a total believer. And he said, your life is destined for something, because what you've done here at the age I was 33 years old when this happened. And he told me that he wouldn't normally give a 33-year-old this option, because
Right.
they don't, the collagen and the way bones are, like, to be able to get calcium in the bone, like, you're already at a certain age. So when he saw this, he was just like, whatever this is, like, you're here for something very, very big. It was so beautiful. But ultimately, I sat there, and then afterwards, so when you said, yes, the gurus, and they have these frequencies, it's not just in India or in Tibet, right? Or in these areas where these certain lineages are practiced. It's all indigenous cultures. You could
Right.
go back to Egypt, you could go back to Africa, you could go anywhere and see that there were voice practices. There were always practices involving sound from within. I mean, they would chant Ra, the sun god, in the king's chambers of the Great Pyramid. And they
Right.
say that the Great Pyramid is a conductor. It's basically just a big old generator, right? And they would voices, and they would create energy from within that would be their manifesting power. And
Right.
so we talk about voice as a tool here. It's the primary tool that we have. So when I go back to my neck here and my neck being broken and me healing the bone, something else happened there too. My jaw, so I was in traction for 6 months. I was put into a full body brace and traction, and they kept my skull off of my C1 because that's what it sits on. So it had to be held off of the bone. And when they took that traction brace off, my mouth was like completely locked, like the
Right.
jaw was locked in its place. I couldn't open my jaw. And all of my shoulders, everything was atrophied. My throat was all like tight and tense from like being in this position for that many months.
Long time
So
too.
when I went to open my voice up, there was no range. Me, who was a singer who had this, range of voice, I had a very limited amount of sound that could come out. But I was in pain. I was on the other side of this healing, and there, because of the atrophy and because of the tightness, there was a lot of, tension and pain. So every time I would try to sing or open my mouth, it would just cause a lot of pain. So I had to learn, or I'm going to say I had to remember all of the lower body muscles that we need to use to support our voice. And I worked out how to get my full range of voice back from the root to the crown of my head. And in that process, the sounding opened up the part of me that had, atrophied and tightened from being dormant for that long. And everything came back online. And ultimately, my jaw unlocked, my tongue relaxed, my shoulders relaxed, and I got my full voice. I actually reclaimed 2 more octaves that I didn't have before. And I got my full voice back.
Wow. See, I believe that just shows us the power of the mind, right? Like, and all the parts that we have as humans that we can help heal ourselves, right? Because like you were talking about, it made me think about, right? Our voices can be used for good or for bad, right? And if we're not careful, right? And I'm sure you've run across people that just like to spew things out of their mouth and you just go like, I'm out of here. See ya. Right. Like, right. And I've had to learn, as a father, grandfather, husband, and, I have to watch my words because I've been on the receiving end of someone's like anger. Right. And I still remember how some things felt, not even anger, but just like being called stupid or something like that, right? You know what I mean? That stuff stays with you forever. It's like, and it took me a long time, but so now we're going to get into the good parts, everybody, because now I'm sure like me, the audience is going, oh, so how did you use your voice like even when you were in traction, right? You said you couldn't really speak or everything was starting to lock up, right? Because you're in one position. Mm-hmm. And how did that begin? Like, give us an idea of when you told the doctor, I'm going to do this, but I'm going to do it my way, right? And I love that you converted that doctor, right? Because I believe there's a place for Western medicine and I believe there's a place for Eastern, right? But you're right. I think like even the Aborigines in Australia have their, you know what I mean? Voice. That
voice sound, didgeridoo healings, exactly, like using the vessel. This body is an instrument. We think of it like it's us, like our name, whatever. This is Maryn's body. This is Earth, and it's an absolute instrument of frequency. And so the way that the masters, when you say someone comes into a room and you can like feel them,
right?
That happens to every single one of us. We are energy transmitters and receivers. That's what we are. Through our central line, we have a system of nervous plexuses. We have a group of nerve ganglion that are clustered at different points of the body. In the Vedic lineages, they call them chakras. That's it in Sanskrit. But there are energy centers and other names for them in all different things. They're sephiro in Israel. It's like there's in Hebrew, or in the Kabbalah, I would say. But there's like many names that many different cultures give to these nervous plexuses. They're actually energy frequency, like electromagnetic fields that come off of the body. So what the masters know and what the indigenous people know of this earth is that our own vocal frequency, our own sound, like every bit of sound you're hearing come out of me right now, take the words away, is creating a waveform, a vibrational form that you can't see through your eyes because of the frequency that it's coming out. And there are people in this world who actually have the sensory perception to see things that are beyond. But the average human cannot see a sound wave, right? But it's a real physical thing. It's a material thing. It is a waveform that moves into the entire energy of everything that is, and it creates something. It actually collapses into what we see our reality to be, how we experience our reality. So there's one layer of voice that's your words. Yes, the words are concepts. They're coming from a mind. For your words to affect me, I need to know what you mean.
Right.
If I don't speak your language and you say something to me and you might be totally insulting me, I'm not that insulted. Like it doesn't really hurt me unless it's coming like a,
right.
Then I don't need to know what you're saying at all because I feel you go, and I'm like I could feel it, right? So
right. Yeah, that's right.
Our body is the instrument of the voice, and the words are only one layer of its potency. But each of these energy centers that we have are conducting electric frequency into the world. And what these masters know is that you can send your voice into these areas of the body, which then wakes up that field of energy and makes you that much more potent. So if we are looking at someone's auric field, someone's energy field, if you ever saw someone walk into a room and go like, who is that? They don't
Right.
even have to say a word. And I'm not even talking about the most physically beautiful, although physical beauty kind of does come along with a really good energy body. But I'm not even saying like according to beauty standards. I'm talking about someone who comes in and their energy hits you fast, like, whoa, that person is powerful. So
Right.
they have an embodiment. And your voice is a tool that really helps you embody your soul, embody your spirit. By sending your voice into different areas, you're waking up these nervous plexuses and you're sending out a different signal to the world.
Right.
So when we are focusing our voice in our head only, and when I came out of that brace, like my throat was closed and my voice was up here, like most of us are controlling and holding things back.
Right.
But when we do that, because maybe, like you said, when we were younger, you hear shh, or that's stupid, or you're not right, or don't do that, whatever it might be, when someone from the outside world, when we're doing something very freely and naturally, and someone from the outside world just stops it and either laughs at it, makes fun of it, or punishes it,
Right.
we immediately begin to contract the muscles that we need to get the voice out. And over time, that affects how we hold our throat tension and our diaphragm, how we breathe. It's going to affect how we hold ourselves. So, yes, a human can speak without any of this low body. We have vocal cords at the throat, we have sound that comes through the mouth and the nose, and we can make a voice happen from the tiny top quadrant.
Right.
That's not how the voice is designed to be used. And when we were babies, we knew this. The very first breath we took led to a full body roar. And
See,
that's go ahead.
I was just gonna say that's why I hate to say it's sad what happens as a human, right? Like we know as babies, right? Like we're open, we don't hate, we don't judge, we're just a big, like literally a sponge taking in all this information. And then unfortunately we run into things that make us contract, like you said, where they want us to silence our, do it our way or don't do it at all. Right. And because like as a substance abuse counselor, right, I'm learning how to use my voice better, I want to say, to help be more helpful instead of harmful. And I've known I'm going to be, I'll tell on myself, I've let things slip out where I went, where you go, oh, I shouldn't have said that. Right. Because you just see their look and you go, I really didn't mean, you know what I mean? Like I let my perceptions and, the training, whatever, get in the way, or my hurts, what I've gone through. Right. So I want you to pay attention, everyone, because she's getting to a point where like she's going to teach us briefly. Right. And we'll get into that. But at least we can have better voices, because here's my belief, and I'm sure you agree, right? Whether you call it Buddhist, source, higher power, God, they all, they want us to help each other and be helpful to each other, not harmful to each other. Right. And you and I were talking a little bit about, the powers that be in the world. It seems like they're trying to quiet our voices. So it's only one way, like trying to keep us from being free thinkers and having that energy, like you said, to where, like as soon as I got to tell you, when Maryn came on, I knew she had great energy. She had a big smile on her face and we're ready to go. But, you've also on the opposite end, not on here, but I've had people where you walk in the room and you just go, I don't know if I want to talk to this person. You just know, like I'm going to go around the long way and avoid this person. Right. We've all had that experience, but this is the beauty of like why I started this podcast, because I get to have guests like yourself. So again, I apologize for interrupting, but I want the audience to kind of see where we're going with this and how you help people that in shorts improve their voices. Right. Because I think it's important. You said it right. It's all indigenous people, Native Americans, from Africa, from Australia, wherever. This has been going on for thousands and thousands of years, right? Like for instance, I told you I had a guest who met a guru. It happens to be India, of course, right? But he said when you walked in that room, you just felt joy, and because their energy was just so positive. And he said it was almost scary, right? Because he's like, this guy can see into my soul, right? And
Yep.
and this is, like that's why I got to be good, because I know Mary's going to look into my soul and go, "Ooh, better pay attention to this guy." Just kidding. I'm just kidding, everybody. But
Great master gurus. One is that your heart can open up to pure joy and love and you can join them. Or very often when you're in front of someone with that much clarity, all of your shadow comes to the surface and you just find yourself like on the ground, shaking, crying, like you're just releasing your shadow because the light that's coming off of these beings is so uninterrupted that it just illuminates whatever you have inside of you.
right, exactly. And that's why I say don't be afraid to do that inner work, right? Because we're always a work in progress. But I don't want to be someone that walks into a room like that and cowers because I'm done nothing to improve myself, or I'm so afraid. I mean, I want to be like, wow, this is crazy, but I also want to be open to feel that energy and go, wow, this is what I believe the universe wants us to be like. All of us.
When you talked about the teachers of all the different cultures, and you said they don't want us to, you said the powers that be, and I before about the people who are seemingly ruling the world that we're in, but the powers that be are way more powerful than those people.
Absolutely. Right. And it's like, I'm glad you're here because it's people like you, Maryn, that are going to bring that to the surface, right? And let people know that we can be just as powerful, if not more, by doing this kind of work than trying to suppress people and keep them stuck in a
And
bubble.
those masters that you spoke about want us to know we're all one.
Yes.
But once you have somebody who's like, I want to have power over you. That shouldn't or doesn't exist when you understand what you're a part of as a one. And that's really the goal. And I believe where we're at as a human race right now, we're coming into an evolution to the heart chakra. If you look historically, like what it looks like as far as our evolution right now, and we're moving out of this like separate sense of ego into a we instead of an I mentality. And I saw this meme when I was like, I don't know, a bunch of months ago of a little child. And an adult was yelling at this kid, and this kid had tears in its eyes. And it said, when you're mean to a child doesn't think that there's something wrong with you. They think there's something wrong with them.
Yep.
Right. And this is that moment that we were talking about before where to get back what they want, these great masters, these great gurus, these great teachers that look at you through the eyes of love and compassion, and that when you're with them, they make you feel like you are Buddha because you are Buddha. They remind you that innocence and wonder is not a weakness. It's actually a great strength. And we've become cynical and we've become untrusting and we've become separatist and we've become like these separate beings. But when we plug back into the source of what we all are, that is the power that be. And when we get there, we only see the beauty of the God. Like I've sat with great gurus who look at me and I could say, I'm suffering from this issue. And they look at you and go, you are? Like, I don't,
I
I
don't.
see it as absolutely beautiful, right? They're not looking through the eyes of what's wrong with you, child. They're looking at the eyes of you are love, light, divine itself. Like you are it. And the quicker that we can step back into literally loving ourself that way, because when we do, we'll love everyone that way. And the issue is that child who was yelled at feels like something's wrong with them because maybe dad had a bad day at work or mom wants a divorce or there's a loss that just happened and now people at home are stressed out or and because they don't know how to navigate the innocence and the wonder and how to really help a little being still see through the eyes of joy even when bad things are happening because we forgot, right? It's like to get back to that. And we would call that naivete now. We would say like someone who's really joyful, someone who's fearlessly happy, because I am, right? And there are people who would look and be like, oh, you're so naive. Like, don't you know the world you're in? Right?
Exactly. I smile back and go, yep.
Yes, I know exactly the world I'm in. I'm in a world of beauty. I'm in a world of friendship. I'm in a world of love. I'm in a world of abundance. I'm in a world of all of these things. Just because you're looking through a lens of the narrative of everything's going to shit, you can just as easily look through another lens of, oh, wow, the world is falling apart, so the new world can begin. And really, we have to go back to the garden, everybody. We have to get back to Eden. And Eden is this like story that we got kicked out of something, but we never did. Instead, we just decided we wanted knowledge over wisdom.
Right.
And when we decided we wanted to eat that apple of knowledge, our head took everything, just like it's taking the voice, right? Going back to what I work with. The voice, when it comes from the root, the earth, the second chakra, the water, the third chakra, the fire, the fourth chakra, the air, the fifth chakra, the ether, the sixth chakra, the space. Like when we actually use our vibrational frequency through this entire vessel, we feel ourselves connected to the elements, to how life functions itself. And then the part of it that's wild and why I do what I do in the world is that we live in an elemental reality, right? So those elements that I just listed off is how anything is seemingly real and like physical. That's how we live through our senses. When you master your voice and your body, you master your ability to create the physical world however you put it out. This
I
is
love
what the ancients know.
Right. So as you are healing, right? Like you said, the brace came off. Like when was that moment you knew that I'm going to take what I know now and help people through voice transformation? And what did that look like? So that the audience understands, right? Because I'm sure you're going to get questions or people are going to reach out after this episode and go, I need to, in a sense, all of us need to better our voices like you help people do, right?
100.
Like,
It's not
you're
for sinners, it's for
right,
everyone.
right? Because I understand that, right? It seems like I only talk from here sometimes, right? But I want to learn how to do where my whole body is connected to my voice so that I can be more supportive of others and more aligned with what I do and how I help people and get more guests like yourself on here, right? To share this with the world because I think the world needs more of it, right? Like we don't need, and this is me from going through my own experience, but we don't need like a pill to fix this or a pill to fix that, right? We need to tap into the power that's already been given to us. Like a quote I came up with is, you have everything you need to be great today.
Already.
Right. And it's already inside. You just got to learn how to tap into it. Right. So can you get into that? Like when that moment started for you and then how you do. And then I'm sure people want to go, tell us how she does it. But we'll tell them enough so that if they want to get a hold of you, then we're going to send them.
I definitely would love for everyone who's listening to feel their own voice, just to feel what it means to like get the support where and to feel it, because you'll feel an energy shift immediately because what you're doing is you are relaxing your vagus nerve. When you actually support your voice correctly, you send your vagus nerve from sympathetic into parasympathetic. So you actually have the ability with just your own voice to calm your entire nervous system. We can eliminate anxiety. We can eliminate depression. We can eliminate imbalances within this body, all with the power of our own voice. This past week, a student of mine reached out to me. She had calcification of her arteries, a disorder that is irreversible. Her calcium points went down 40 points from her last session. Her doctors said to her, how the hell are you doing this? This is irreversible unless we go in with surgery. And she said, it's my voice.
Wow.
It's, we feel 40 points, irreversible. And she literally called me and was like, I cannot believe it, but I can believe it. Because the idea of even thinking that this thing is solid, anytime I get a prognosis, and I work with a lot of people who have illnesses, like people who come with me with illnesses, and they've tried all these things, and they're like, can my voice do this? So to support the voice, I'll tell you what happened to answer your question when I got my voice unlocked the way that I now am using it and teaching people to use it, people would just immediately start crying. They would hear my voice come out and they would just start releasing themselves. Because the same way where you see that guru and they're so clear in their energy that it illuminates the shadow that's within you. When a voice comes out purely, it goes right in, just like a tuning fork or a singing bowl would. It goes right into the body that is receiving it, and it begins to activate and move energy that's sitting there. So depending on where you send your voice out of your body, you might notice as I'm speaking, and maybe not, most of my voice comes through my heart.
Right.
This is the largest resonator of our voice because this is the largest energy center of our body. And it's where we're designed to live from. It's where the chi brain lives. Chi, which is our life force, right? And the heart chakra, or this area, is working with energy that comes down from the head and up from the gut. So this is feeling the two different streams from heaven to earth and from earth to heaven, as above, so below, as within, so without, right? We know this. It all functions through the heart chakra, and it's zero coincidence that the largest resonator, the most sound we make, comes through this area of our body. So to that woman who just healed herself, we're sending sound through the chest cavity, and her heart is being informed by the frequency that's moving through that part. So it's releasing the calcium, the calcification, right? And we can do this with any disease that we have because dis-ease is imbalance. And when we actually bring our breath into our body, support our voice from the muscles down below, bring the sound through the chest, out the mouth, the nose, and the face, right? This is the exit holes. When we actually bring sound through these 3 points, we are balancing our 3 brains. We are balancing our gut instincts, our heart emotions, and our head intellect. And as we use our voice this way, those 3 intelligences that make us up become coherent and harmonic, which means we now are functioning on all cylinders when we use our voice. So when we use our voice, it is that much more powerful and impactful in whichever way we use it. You're getting on a stage and talking about your company, or you're inspiring people, you're raising your children, you're a teacher, you're a singer, and like any way you want to use it, your voice has that much more potency and power because of these 3 brains all being involved in its execution. Okay, so we did this when we were babies. We did it when we were babies. So what made me begin to teach this way was that once I actually remembered and opened all this up and got my range back and felt my voice, which came back a million times stronger than it was beforehand, the effect it was having on the world around me was potent. It was obvious. And so with that, it's not because I have a great voice or I'm special or I'm like better or anything. It's just because I unlocked the instrument.
Right.
And we all had an unlocked, maybe not all of us, because there are babies who are born without the abilities, and there are people who are mute in the world. But the vast majority of us have a frequency tool. And my goal in life and my drive for all of you who are listening and for everyone is just to claim it, like get it back and see what it starts to do for your life. Because it does it for your health, it does it for your relationships, it does it for your finances, it does it for your imagination, it does it for your creative impulses, it does it for every aspect of what you are when you actually get it online. It's wild. So you want to feel it?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So the first thing that I did to heal my neck when I first did the bone was a simple hum. And humming is something that we all do completely instinctually when we're stressed, especially as kids. You might see a child who's like drawing to himself and kind of humming. They're soothing their own system. They're bringing themselves in. So very often when you're in an abusive household or a loud household or something that where someone feels stressed, you'll see a child who's humming. This is the oldest and deepest instinct. And they say it's actually where singing started, that it would have started with a mother holding a child who's crying and inconsolable and holding that child to her chest and then starting to hum. And by humming, she would stimulate her heart and her vagus nerve would relax. And so baby would co-regulate to her relaxed vagus nerve and her heart that's there. And so it's this basic tool that we have of co-regulation or of regulation. So let's start with that.
Relax so quickly, I think, with a mother when she's doing that than anything else. Have you, I mean, I've been around a lot of babies and I've noticed when mom does that and hums and the baby starts to just like, okay, but you die with dad or anybody else, maybe it's like, no, that ain't working, but give me mom, right?
Works with that too, but I would say in the first 6 months to a year of a child's life, they need mom because the heartbeat of mom is what they had for 9 months inside of womb, and it is the touchstone of I'm okay, like I'm connected to source.
Right.
But I'll tell you to the dads, from 6 months or a year to 3 years old, you are crucially, vitally important to your child. And the fathers of the world, I like would broadcast this everywhere I can. You're responsible for the emotional health of your children. So you'd think mom is the emotional support, but no, mom is the ground and the safety, and that's why they can calm. Dad has to be emotionally safe. And when dad is emotionally safe and can hold a child who's crying without yelling at them or pacifying them or punishing them for reacting in any way they might do, now a baby has a really healthy second chakra, which is how they're going to create healthy relationships themselves and be creative in the world. So dads are vitally crucial to our society. And I'm very big on sharing that. Men, we need good dads, good men, healthy, strong, emotionally stable men. You're very important to all of us. Okay, so I want to show you how to support this sound. And because the hum is not just a tight little in the throat, because that actually will trigger your vagus nerve and make it stressed. So the same way that we can calm ourselves with our voice, we also might be creating more stress with our voice than we realize. You might hear someone who talks like this all the time. They have this like really high pitched kind of annoying voice and they're very, very fast and frenetic and all of that. Well, this is a symptom of a very, very, very loud, fast head and a throat that's being controlled by the mind. And so as I'm talking like this, I can even feel it. Like my heart is starting to want to move and I'm leaving the ground. I'm like coming all the way up to here. And when we talk with that part of our body, we're literally creating more stress inside of our system.
Okay. That makes sense. Because when you started to do that, I was like, whoa. You can feel it. You're like, oh, wow. I get it.
Stop. Okay, so imagine, yes, your world is going to respond to you like, I don't like your voice. But you're even doing that to your own nervous system and your own brain. So anybody who's on this call who thinks their voice is really high pitched and tight, come find me because we can change your life. Okay, so we need the voice to be supported all the way down in the body. The same exact thing we did when we were babies. So I want you to take your hand and put it on your umbilical, put it on your belly. And see if you take a deep breath, can you breathe into your belly and feel the pressure of the belly get wide and move into the hand? So just inflate your belly and breathe into your hand. This is a sign that your belly, the fact that your belly can come out is a sign that you can breathe into your body, that you can actually breathe down and your diaphragm can drop. If you cannot feel your belly come out and instead you're feeling your shoulders lift, then that means you have a diaphragm that's stuck. You have a diaphragm that is not fully letting you breathe. This is the first place you have to work to get your full voice. And very often these voices up here are going to feel that their diaphragm does not drop and their belly does not lift. So if you could feel, can you, Max, feel your belly lifting?
Yeah. And that's funny that you mentioned that because for a long time, it was always from the chest up. Like I couldn't, like, man, I can't breathe right. You know, and I get myself all freaked out because, you know, I'm learning breath work or you know, when I got sober, I was learning how to meditate more, right? And people would tell me, you got to breathe, you got to feel your belly. And when I couldn't feel my belly, I'd get all like, well, this ain't working. Why do I got to keep doing it? Right. And then I realized I wasn't breathing correctly right. Like it's a big deal. Like I felt that. But it used to be, like you said, it felt like only my chest and my shoulders would rise.
Right. And it would get constricted. Now, the problem with that breath is that if your breath only moves up, you're telling your vagus nerve that we're in sympathetic. So that rise, if everyone at home wants to just breathe into your upper chest right now, you'll feel that your throat is contracted, your shoulders lift. This action tells your pituitary gland to send out cortisol and adrenaline, ephedrine, like to send out signals of stress to your body.
Okay.
The upper lung, when it fills alone, this is the breath that we need when we're like running from the murderer or the house is on fire. But when we're breathing all day, every day, the breath we're designed to take is a diaphragmatic breath down. So the belly will drop open, and then the bottom of the lung, which is sitting, right under the second rib, is actually going to fill first, and then it's going to fill to the top of the lung, and the top of the lung is right at your heart center. So by our everyday breathing, we actually can feel a pressure in the center of our chest. Our belly comes out, and we are reminded with every breath in where the center of our gravity is. It's right here in our heart. It's right at our chi brain. This breath is everything. And if you're not breathing this way every day of your life, it's so important. But the voice work will actually ingrain this breath into your system because you need this breath in order to create sound properly. So let's go back to that sound. So if we can breathe down into the belly and feel the belly button come open, feel the belly open. Maybe you feel the obliques go a little bit wide, and you might even feel the perineum or the bottom of the body drop towards the earth a bit. If you can't get that low, it's fine. But right now we're focused on the belly for today. So these muscles that are extending, that are expanding right here, these are the support muscles of your voice. What I want you to do the next time we take an inhale is I want you to scream, but make no sound and let no air out of your body. So it's going to be like, like don't, no air, no sound, but I want you to just scream. Okay. So let's breathe into the belly, fill it up. And now let's do a silent scream. Don't let any air out and just scream. Do you feel what happens there at the belly? Those muscles actually express, right? They actually get very firm and very tight. Let's try it again. Let's breathe in, do a silent scream, and feel the bracing muscles. Right? You get a nice, strong, low body.
You can feel like everything tighten, like ribs and your everything. You're right.
But we're not tightening by contraction. So the feeling isn't like pulling in and sucking in. The feeling is like a tree trunk, like bracing down and open. You're actually becoming a very strong low body.
Right. It's like it's just stiffening up to, like you feel like someone's going to come and tackle you, and you do that brace.
Right. Yeah. You your ground.
Exactly. Right? That's what
So now that we've done that, without it being a scream, can you breathe into your belly? And can you just use those muscles the same way and just to hold your breath, but just maybe holler instead of scream, or just use those muscles. Now that you have an awareness of it, just brace the muscles, belly forward, waist out. No scream necessary, but you have access to this area, right? In the bottom of the body. So these are the muscles that you need to support your sound with. And these are muscles that you should feel while you're speaking, while you're singing, if you're yelling, even if you're whispering. If you're chanting, if you're praying, anytime that you make a sound out of your mouth, we should feel some amount of this muscle activated. And if we're not feeling that, it means we are lazy and we're using our throat and we're not getting the healing effect or the power effect that I'm talking about with the voice. Okay, so let's go to the hum. Let's just feel the hum. Take your hand on your belly. Take one hand on your heart. And we're going to get the hum to the front of the mouth. So I want you to go
like that.
Yeah. And then close it to an M and see if you could feel the buzzing at the lip. So just start with a breath into the belly and then a little. Can you feel the?
Yeah, right here.
The lips are buzzing, right?
Right.
So we want to make sure that when we hum, that the lips are part of that, the sound gets all the way into the face, that we're not holding it in our throat. Okay.
That's how you would know you're doing it correctly, right? If you could feel that like that vibration on your lips.
Exactly. That's how you'll know you're right. If you don't feel it on your lips, the chances are really good that your tongue is tightening, because a lot of times our tongue wants to be involved in our voice. So if we take our hands back to our belly and our chest and we breathe into that low belly, can we focus on relaxing our tongue at the bottom of our mouth? And the tip of the tongue is just touching the lower back teeth, but the rest of the tongue is just limp. It's just not active at all. It's very, very limp and relaxed. Okay, so then from there, breathe into your belly hand, and then engage those muscles like we just did with that holler while letting out a little hum. So the sound is at the front of the lips, the belly is engaged, supporting sound, the hand is in the heart, stabilizing the center, and we're just going to do a little hum together. Okay, let's feel it.
Can I tell you real quick? So like when we're doing, I could feel the buzz, but I could see different colors happening. Like really, like your screen, like the whole time, nothing, but I do that and your screen is getting like different colors and stuff. That's weird.
Amazing. I love it.
I believe in this stuff. If you do it correctly, it's something that we've all been doing for thousands of years, that long before Western medicine, right? That can help us heal ourselves. And but it's like it was weird because at first it dimmed the light, and then as I was letting that breath out and feeling that, it started. I saw different colors, and I'm not just saying that. I'm being honest here. That's freaking me out there for a minute, but that was good though, right?
So can we try a couple of these in a
Yes.
row? Let's do 3 in a row for everyone listening so they can actually feel the reset of their nervous system. It doesn't take many. And to think of something this simple being this effective, it's pretty ridiculous that we have, like, it's been in us this whole time and we haven't accessed it. So let's just feel it, how simple it can be. Let's do 3 hums in a row. Breathe into the belly, feel that muscle engagement, feel your hand on your heart and the M at the lip. The tongue is relaxed. Okay, let's try this. 3 of these together. Breathing in to the belly.
That's amazing. Like you could
How
feel,
does it feel?
feels wonderful. And I got to tell you, like, no one's gonna believe me. Like, your screen will get white, not like real white, but it'll be like, and then I get this color that comes from your screen. It's like stuff is flushing out of me or something. You know what I
Exactly. 'Cause imagine, like, the sound, if it's coming through your lips, it's coming through your cheeks, your nose, behind your eyes, and through the whole front of your face. If it's coming through your chest, which it is, it's coming through your whole throat area, it's coming through your lungs, it's coming through everything. If it's supported at the belly, the sound is connected in and coming through your entire gastric area and all of your soft tissue organs down there. So your own vibrational sound is massaging open the fascia. It's massaging through the tissues. And if you've seen cymatics, the physical imprint of a frequency in water that sends off these mandala effects, if you've seen those, you can imagine that this is what is happening to every water cell of your body. And we are 80% water, if not more. Right? So this simple sound, right? Simple balance sound is resetting your nervous system and releasing what can release from you at this moment. And so sure, I mean, I get these auric fields around my eyes. When I do this for 10 minutes and I open my eyes, it like starbursts. You can see light, the light effect is very different. And I can see the energy around like plants and things like that when I start to do this kind of practice because the energy body is awakening.
Right.
So then to take this to voice, it moves straight from that hum to just opening your mouth.
Right.
And now you'll have a whole channel of voice to come out. Do you want to hear that and feel that?
Yes. Let me see. Let me hear that.
So simple. So if you breathe into the belly and the tongue is relaxed and you just go back to that hum the way we did, ah, you've got a whole channel of sound.
Wow.
And now instead of it just being a simple internal massage, you're actually using these muscles to express it out through the body and getting that information out into the world. Instead of it being inside, it's now outside.
I love it.
Yeah. You want to try it?
Yeah.
Do you have the courage? Do you have the courage to try it? Okay.
I don't want to tell my audience to do this and they go, well, what about you, Max? I'm going to say, well, go to episode so and see what I did with Maryn. I did it.
Exactly. Doing it. So just make sure if your tongue is relaxed that you drop the jaw all the way. So watch the jaw that wants to stay tight and get the jaw fully open and keep your tongue relaxed, and you will see the power of and feel the power of your own voice. Okay. So let's do it together. Breathing into the belly. Remember that muscle that needs to engage. Let's find the hum. Now drop it.
Wow. There's something to this, everybody. Like, I hope you all reach out to Maryn and she might have a new client with me because this stuff, like, if you do it like you say, and I'm just copying what you told me to do or doing what you told me, like you feel it throughout like I feel it in my feet. I feel it in my head. I feel it in my heart. Like and then when I open my eyes, like the screen's turning different colors and I've been sober, everybody, for almost 22 years. I'm not on anything. I promise there's something to this, like your voice stuff and breath work. I think that works.
100%. It's spirit. It's spirit medicine. Your breath is respiration, respiriting. And then your voice is how your spirit and your soul, I would say, in your body wakes up the intelligence and then what you create and put out in the world.
Right.
It's a real thing. And so I always say, and as fearless happiness goes, the opposite of depression is expression. And when we were younger, we had so much fun with our voices and we used them completely until, as I said before, somebody told us it was inappropriate. Not now, don't do that. And we started to edit and manipulate it. So when I look at the world that we're in and I see so much anxiety and depression and sadness and addiction and all of that, it's all running away from what wants to be expressed. But once you're actually fully expressed, there's nothing but joy and happiness left, even when life is challenging and painful. Because listen, Earth is a battlefield. It's like Earth is a ground for evolution, and we evolve from adversity. So we have to expect that we're going to have tough moments. There is grief, there is pain, there is tragedy. There are all these things that occur. There's seemingly unfairness everywhere you turn. Like, yes, we can see that life has its obstacles and its challenges, but we can be in joy and happiness through all of it when we can take those experiences and actually express our feelings around it and get it out of our body. We're not carrying it around anymore. So we're not depressed. We're not angry. We're not pent up. We're not hiding. Instead, we're like fearlessly expressive, which makes us fearlessly happy.
Right. And you're so correct, because that's why we get, like you said, into dis-ease, right? Is when we're taught to not express that stuff and hold it in, right? Like I know my generation, even at my age at 57, was taught by the generation before me, especially the men, right? Suck it up, buttercup. You don't talk about your feelings. You don't do any of that. You just brush yourself off and keep moving forward. And then, but here's my response, right? And God rest my dad's soul, right? That's why he died at 55, Dad. You know what I mean? Like of a massive heart attack, because you weren't, you know what I mean? Like you don't, it brings that stuff up for me, right? And that's why I do my best to have a morning routine where I do a little bit of breath work. I pray, I meditate instead of jumping on this thing right away and go, you know what I mean? Trying to find that dopamine rush for that. And I think that's why, universe, or for me, God has been good to me, bringing guests like yourself Maryn, to teach us a different way to express ourselves that is much more healthy than like, addiction or gambling or whatever it could be. Right. Cause like you have me totally fascinated because just that little bit we did, like I feel lighter and I feel like you said, I feel like there's more joy going on right now because I'm in the moment. I'm not worried about what happened yesterday or what's going to happen after this podcast. We're right here talking about a healthy way to transform, right? Because I think the world needs a lot of transformation, right? Because I feel honored that you're here and that you've shared so much with us. Like I'm getting goosebumps. Like I really have had a good time, and we probably could go for hours because I just want to learn as much as I can from you, right? But obviously, I don't want to keep you much longer. But I know that the grandfatherly and fatherly duties will be calling soon, but I want to get as much information, right? So I'm going to ask you the questions like I teasingly talked to her before the podcast, right? So I don't send out a lot of questions, but let's talk about fearless. So what does fearless, going through what you've been through, throughout your life and those 2 accidents, what does fearless mean to you, Maryn, and how does that show up in your life on a daily basis?
Fearless to me means following your heart 100% of the time. And I see this world as every single thing that is happening for me, not to me, for me. And we are going to go through so much adversity, but I welcome it. I can't tell you how much shit I've eaten in my life. I can't tell you how many things I've had to climb back from, all the way down in the dumps from. When people hear me and see my joy and this is natural, this is all the time, everybody. People think I'm lying or like there's something that I'm hiding. But if you actually go back through the catacombs of my life, you will see that I am a human like everybody else, and that I have had to take my lumps. I've had many losses. I've had many things I've gone through. And it is this fearlessness to life that keeps on bringing the next pathway forward, keeps on bringing the next adventure and the next beauty. So fearlessness to me is really taking your life by moment by moment by moment with this opportunity of what growth am I going to find here, and not hide from it, whatever it might be. You just don't hide. You go heart first, gut second, head third into whatever situation that life is bringing you.
Yeah, I love that, right? Because there's like some of the people that I follow and have read their books, like David Goggins, right? There's something to what he says about get comfortable being uncomfortable because that's where the growth happens, right? And you're right, all of us. I could tell you about my last 6 or 7 years that I've, gone through, and right, some people would be, God, Max, you stayed sober through all that. Well, yeah, I think I like Maryn, we live on purpose, in purpose, or in purpose, on purpose, right? And we have people to help, right? As well as the people closest to us, and to bring this to the world so that we can change the way people look at each other instead of like, oh, I don't want to talk to Maryn. Like, but hey, Maryn, let's sit down and have a great conversation, right? Which we've had so far. So thank you so much. I've loved it. I mean, this is I've had an awesome time so far. It's been great. So that leads me to the next question. As you can see, I put a Y in happiness. Knowing I put a Y in happiness, what does happiness mean to Maryn, and how does that show up in her life on a daily basis?
Oh man, the sun's shining. And even when it's cloudy, I know the sun is shining. And as long as I know that this earth is spinning and the sun is shining and that life is continuing, that gives me my reason to be happy every single day of my life. When you have an accident like I had where you should be dead, and that happens to a lot of us, we get this burst of knowing like, I could not be here, but I'm here. And part of my mission is that people don't have to meet their death to get to this place that I'm at. But I did. I had to meet my maker. I had to get to the door, and I had to be granted permission to stay. And so for me, every single morning, I wake up with gratitude in my heart that there's the sky, there's the ground, here's the world. Yes, it's all sorts of messed up, I guess. And it's always been, and I can find happiness in the butterfly that I helped out of this room before we got onto this call. Like the happiness is in every little bit of communion that I get with the world itself. because life is so unbelievably precious.
I love that you talked about a butterfly. So our granddaughter, who I told you passed 6 years ago, right? We had a reading done, my wife and I, right? And they told us, right, when you see a butterfly, that's your granddaughter telling you that she's with you and then she's watching out for you. And you just said that. I swear.
Someone fly in here
Yeah.
just now, right before we started, come land here, like say hi to me, and then fly around and couldn't get out. And so I was waiting for you to come on the call, and I was like, I hope he doesn't come up. I got to get her out of here. And so I got up and I let her out and I watched her fly away, but she came right to my computer.
That
Interesting.
I'm telling you, like I'm getting teary. I think about that because lately we haven't had a lot of butterflies, but like this summer, I've seen them all over the place. So we always call her Remy, and we're like, we know Remy is because our grandson was here, right? And I got my other grandkids, that her brother and sister, that her two sisters and brother that live downstairs. It's like she's just showing up saying, I'm here. I'm showing, I'm still watching out for you guys. And I'm like, and then you tell me that story, and I'm like, maybe that was Remy to tell you, hey, Max is coming. You guys are gonna have a great conversation, right? But this is, like I said, this has been such an amazing time. But we're not going just yet because I want you to tell people if they want to get a hold of you, Maryn, work with you, or just reach out and ask more questions so they get to figure out what they need to do and hopefully work for you with you. How do they get a hold of you?
So you can find me at vocaltransformation.com. You can find me on Instagram at vocal_transformation and also on like TikTok and LinkedIn there too. But the thing I'd really love to talk about, if it's okay, is this thing that I do every year. Every year, I do a full mentorship of 9 months where I take people from the root to the crown through these centers that I talked about on this call. And we get to realign and like basically excavate what is in the way sabotaging from the past, your life, and get your voice into your body to get you into your full faculty so that you can manifest whatever it is that you choose for your life. And a lot of times that's health things, and a lot of times that's just like new careers and relationships and whatever it might be. We've had people birth, massive creative projects and all sorts of things through the process. But if there's anywhere in your life right now that you feel like you're not there, like you're blocked and you're stuck and you don't know why you can't access whatever it is that it might be, there's a really good chance that there's a part of you that's dormant or atrophied or like locked into an old paradigm. And so you can literally use your voice to rebirth yourself. And I do this every year with a small group of people. It's a deep dive, amazing thing. And I really recommend it. It starts in September and it goes through June every year. And I do it the exact time in America where they educated us. They send us into school in September and we get out in June. And so I think of the whole process as an unlearning the things that we've learned that are getting in the way of our path. And it's a very, very powerful program. Also, I do in-person retreats. I have online courses. I have a ton of ways to get into this work if anybody's interested.
And it's vocaltransformation.com. Okay.
Vocaltransformation.com.
Awesome. Well, like I said, Maryn, this has been, wow, just a very, very educational and wonderful time and just an amazing time with you here. Thank you for being so open and so vulnerable and teaching us how we can take our voices back and be heard in this world. Much appreciated. So grateful that you're here, but you're not quite off the hook just yet.
Oh,
Yeah. I get to ask you my one favorite question that I will never forget because it's my favorite. I ask of all my guests, and it goes like this. So, Maryn, what is the one piece of advice you could give my audience to help them grow as human beings and become better people?
reclaim your voice. Find out who you really are underneath all of the program and unlock the potential that your soul came in with that so desperately wants to be expressed in this world as your ultimate contribution. Because every one of you is here to contribute something beautiful to this world. And if you find your voice, your authentic voice, you will be successful at that contribution.
I love it. I love it. amazing time. Like I said, I can't even say anymore. I don't even know what to say, but it's just been outstanding. But you heard her, everybody. If Maryn made you think, if she taught you something, if Maryn made you smile, and my famous, if Maryn made you go, I like that. Please go to iTunes and leave a 5-star review so more people can find the podcast. And again, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this world. This is Max from the Fearless Happiness Podcast. Until next time.
Are you tired of being weighed down by life's traumas and struggles? Join the Fearless Happiness lifestyle and let us guide you toward a brighter future. Explore our past podcast episodes and get a copy of the Fearless Happiness book to ignite your inner strength. If you or someone you love is battling addiction or facing challenges related to unresolved trauma, know that we are here for you. Visit maxnijst.org, maxnijst.org, and take the first steps toward finding your fearless happiness. Thank you for listening. This has been a production of Fearless Happiness.